Hey everyone, I hope you're all having an amazing day. My name is Aiden Hallinan. I'm 17 years old from San Diego, California, and this is a short intro to the HopeSparkk Podcast. I started this podcast as a way to spread love and positivity in any way I can. I have struggled a lot with mental health in the past, and I still do at times. But through all that, I was able to meet so many amazing people that I had the honor to talk to and call my close friends. Life can often be tough, but part of the point of this podcast is to remind you that you are tougher and that you can and will get through these hard times. I started this project back in March, right around the time quarantine started. I would go around the internet and find positive messages that I would post on my Instagram account with the same name. I would also create my own quotes and positive messages to post. Sometimes I would take some chalk and go out around the neighborhood to write little messages for people to help lift them up. It always gave me joy to do it, and I knew I wanted to make it bigger and better. In May, me and my friend launched the HopeSparkk project. We came up with many ideas for what to do with it, and our main idea was we wanted people to write anonymous letters to others struggling so that they would know that they are not alone. We created a website to help spread the message even more, although we haven't made changes to it in a while. I'm a musician, and as a musician, I've always seen music as a great way to express yourself and a real savior at times. Music is such a beautiful thing, and it has always lifted me up when I was down and has always inspired me. And I bet it has done the same for a lot of you. I have written songs for a long time, but I felt much stronger connection to the words and music with the last two songs I wrote this year, and I feel they are some of my best work so far, and I can't wait to share them with you one day. The last part of last year and the beginnings of this year, I was in a really dark place mentally. I was having those common thoughts such as, what's the point? I can't do this, I'll never be good enough. It didn't take long for it to escalate for me. On November 13th, I was hospitalized for a suicide attempt. That day still resonates with me and reminds me of all the confusion and sorrow I felt, and how I thought it was the end for me. 4 months and some crazy experiences later, I had finally found my motivation again. My motivation I had always had to do big things and to inspire and help people. From a very young age, I wanted to build things. I never really had a specific career in mind. I just know I wanted to immediately start creating things. Anything I can think of. I wanted to bring people together, to be someone others looked up to, and to make a change that this world needs more than ever now. I've always tended to be uncomfortable with huge gatherings and crowds, but that didn't change my huge dreams involving things like that. I was always anxious about one thing or another, but despite that, throughout my life, I never wanted to stop experimenting and trying new things. The only solid career I had ever thought about actually doing was an engineer, and I wanted to build cars. That was something I thought of when I was maybe 12 or 13. So it's always been about the building and creating for me. Whenever I saw something, I imagined myself making something like it. I've had dreams of designing a building, forming a band, inventing my own board game, making a huge painting, although I'm not very good at art at all, and much more over the 17 years I have been on this earth. I was born on the autism spectrum, and I also suffer from ADHD and anxiety in my day to day life. I remember even when I was really young, I would beat myself up for being different, and I felt as though everyone was normal except for me. I felt left out and in my own world, and I didn't think I could make any friends. I had a different way of seeing and hearing things than others, and a different way of reacting to different things. I always thought for most of my life that those were all weaknesses, but over the last few years I've realized that they are also strengths. I focused on the negatives for so long that it was all I could see. And I'm not a super positive person when it comes to talking about myself. I have low self esteem, I always have, and I always would beat myself up for various things, even when I knew I had nothing to be sorry for. I was always constantly worried about what others thought of me, and even the littlest things could worry me a lot. But I've been able to see the positives a lot more now, and it has made a huge difference in my life. But of course, I still had my lows, and my moments where I think of everything as a negative and have no faith in myself. I believe one of my biggest strengths is music, and I do think it has stemmed from my different perspective of things throughout my life. I picked up my first CD when I was 6 years old, 21st Century Breakdown by Green Day. That CD was my first experience with heavier and stronger music. It was so incredibly powerful to me, especially at the time. It changed my view on almost everything. Immediately, I was completely hooked with the album. I would play anywhere and anytime, and I would not let my dad listen to anything else, and I would blast it as loud as I could. I would pretend to be performing those songs and singing them all the time. Music has always been my favorite ever since. I wrote my first song when I was about 13. It was about guardrails. I know it's weird, but I fell in love with songwriting immediately. I have melodies in my head 24/7, whether they're existing songs or my own creations. I have dreamed for a while of making my own collection of songs into an album and traveling around and performing. I wanted to be the very people I admired and looked up to. I had been in a band, but I felt as though it wasn't enough, and it wasn't quite what I wanted. I wanted to be bigger and better, and even if it seemed ambitious, I was going to go for it with everything I got and with all my energy because podcasting and music and being an inspiration to people is what I want, and I will give everything to be able to do it all. When the pandemic started ravaging the world, it was really shocking and confusing for us all. When we were ordered to stay home, I felt like I was lost. It was lonely, boring, and I didn't know what to do or really what to think. I felt as though all these ideas I had and these projects I wanted to do weren't possible anymore. I was doing a lot of scrolling through Instagram, and I was coming across these accounts that were posting positive and helpful messages, quotes to help those who were feeling down or even hopeless. It impressed me, and it really made me happy. It reminded me of how much I loved helping people and making people happy, which I realized more than ever when I was in intense therapy. I've always loved helping people and making someone's day better, but over the last year, it has been all I could think about sometimes. My creation levels were skyrocketing. I wanted to make my own quotes, and I wanted to be another person on social media that could help lift someone up as much as I could, at least a little bit. Any size impact would make me feel full and happy, and will make me know that I did something good. I went on Instagram and I created my new page. I had several different names in mind, like Spark of Light and Bright Place, but I officially settled on HopeSparkk with two K's at the end. That name is important to me because it means there is a light through all the darkness you might be facing, and through all the hopelessness there is hope, and you will find it even if most of the time it may seem impossible. The spark in HopeSparkk represents a couple of things. The main being what I went through and how I was finally able to have the desire to get better and the desire to make the best of everything and make this world a better place. I had already done a lot of intense therapy over the course of these 4 months from November to February, but there was still something really missing. I knew I had accomplished so much and been through a lot, but there was still part of me that wanted to give up and part of me that had no hope for the future. There were 2 times in the same month where I almost went back to square one, as if all that work I had done meant nothing. The second time, I finally realized something while sitting in the doctor's office in the ER. I realized how afraid I was of going backwards. Almost going back to the beginning after months of going forward terrified me. I still remember the date, February 24th. It was the day everything finally clicked with me. The day I finally found my reason to live again and reason to be on this earth. I went to the hospital around 4 p.m. and walked out around 7 to 8 p.m. with a completely new and improved mindset, ready to take on challenges I faced and ready to do what I believe I was meant to do. Throughout the year, through the violence and hatred across America and the world, and through the deadly virus showing its ugly face, I was thinking a lot, and I was mad a lot at what was going on around me. I wished I could do more. I was still trying to get myself back on the right track and figuring out what I wanted to do exactly. I also felt a bit guilty, as I am a white straight male, and I had not faced discrimination like so many others out there do just for being who they are. I felt as though all I could do was be extremely fortunate that I was not intentionally being targeted for the color of my skin or for who I loved. I always said that if society is giving me this advantage that allows me things that are harder for others to get, I was going to use it in the best way possible. And I was never once going to stop fighting for justice. I was never going to stop saying the names of African Americans who had been killed just for the color of their skin. I was never going to stop fighting for the rights of women, for equal pay, and for their right to choose what they do with their bodies without a man controlling it. and I was never going to stop fighting for the many beautiful members of the LGBTQ community being looked down on, abused, and even killed, just because of who they are or who they love. We have made the very idea of accepting and loving each other all about politics and religion. Even when we live in our own worlds, with our own lives and own ideas, we still come out to the battlefield. And for what? Because they are living their life a few feet away from you? Are they not okay to your standards if they don't live their life 60 years in the past? If there is one thing we should all live by, it's this: put your beliefs aside. You're not going to always agree, but don't discriminate by disagreeing. Don't hate for disagreeing. Accept. Accept those for who they are, and this world will be a much safer and happier place to be. At the time of recording, September 28th, the world has reached some very horrible milestones, such as the over 200,000 people in America who have passed away due to COVID-19, the record fires burning the West Coast, the many black transgender men and women that have been taken from us by ignorance and hate, and much more. But I believe there have been positives that have come from this year, even if it's hard to see or imagine. Being home all the time gave me a lot more time to think about myself and my goals, think about how I could help, and have much more time to make my dreams come to life. I missed hanging out with my friends, but I was able to have so much more freedom and leisure. I bought my new computer about a month ago, and it has really changed my life and opened up so many more opportunities because I can do so much more and be so much more creative than I could be on my old computer. I was very limited on that computer, but now I was able to run music software that I couldn't before, and I was able to have a much cleaner and more open experience to focus, without it crashing or being so slow. I immediately got to work on my music and my podcast, and any other ideas I may come up with along the way. I also started to learn how to video edit, as I would love to make a film of some kind too, and I want to do all this in hopes of improving the world as much as I can, to give people inspiration and hope. I will never stop fighting, and I will never stop creating. You are all incredible souls, and I hope you know how much we love you. Never give up, never stop fighting, stay strong, stay amazing. Always try to be proud of yourself like we're proud of you. Be kind to yourself. You don't have to fully love yourself, but remember to accept yourself. It's a process, but you can do it. Always remember to spread love, positivity, and kindness. Treat others the way you want to be treated, and don't give up. You got this. Have an amazing day, guys. This has been the very first episode/intro to the HopeSparkk Podcast. Bye, everyone. Thanks for listening, and I will see you soon.